We call to order the town council meeting for the month of June. If we can all please rise for the invocation.
Father, Lord, we thank you for your missions and all the times you just lifted this town up, Lord, and kept us safe, Lord. Lord, tonight I want to lift up a dear brother, Brother Terry Howard, Lord. Lord, you know how much time he spent on this council, Lord, and Lord, he done his very, very best to keep taxes low for the elderly people and the natives on the island so they could continue to stay here, Lord. And Lord, most of all, Lord, he lifted up this town's petitions to you, Lord. And Lord, he loves you, and Lord, I know that a place is prepared for him, Lord. Just give his family strength during this time, Lord, and Lord, just put an angel on each one of his wings, Lord, and Lord, let him know that you're there. And Lord, we just praise you and thank you for his life. Lord, be with all of our police officers, Lord. Keep them safe, Lord. This town doesn't know what they go through daily and what they see daily. And Lord, we just praise them and just keep them safe, Lord. Lord, all of our employees, Lord, we pray for a hedge of protection, Lord. And Lord, we're very blessed. Lord, and each one of us, Lord, if you would guide us and direct us in the way we should go and the way we should vote on everything that's in this town. And just go us and guide us, direct us, for we ask these things in Jesus' precious name. For his sake, amen.
Amen. Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Evening, everybody. We've got a special visitor tonight. I'm going to let him go first. Everybody's familiar with Mr. Cooper, so if he would like to get up and speak.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening to all of council, all residents here for this special evening. I take this opportunity to announce my official retirement as Clerk of Court for Accomack County at the end of this year. It has been an extreme pleasure, an honor, and more so an experience, a wonderful experience in that especially the people of Chincoteague who have opened their doors to me, have been so respectful and supportive down through the years. And I just wanted to say to each and every one of you, thank you. Thank you for your support. Again, thank you for your respect. These have been the most wonderful 40 years in my life. Wow. And again, I just cannot tell you, I'm leaving with mixed emotions, terribly mixed emotions. I've been fortunate over these years that I have never had a day that I dreaded going to work. Never. And I just think at this point, the office needs new blood. And I brought some new blood with me. I also want to introduce to you all my son, Cedric, who is going to be seeking, he's going to be running this year for my current office. I'm going to apologize to him because of his appearance. He and I had some discussion about that on the way. But Cedric works in Salisbury. We had planned for this meeting tomorrow night. When I called Mr. Mayor today, he says, "You are more than welcome to come, but tomorrow is not going to be a good day." Because the meeting is tonight. So I hope you all will please excuse his appearance. But again, I thank you all so very much. I plan to be around until the end of the year, and I'll be in there for the transition of the new clerk of court. But thank you all. God bless you, and I hope things will continue to prosper for each and every one of you, your families, and the entire Chincoteague community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for your years of service. We'll hear from Cedric. Maybe he'll give us 40 years.
Good evening, everyone, the mayor, the council, and the residents. Yes, my father has spoken on my behalf, and I apologize for my attire. I left work. He was like, the meeting's tonight, so I had to leave Salisbury. I said, meet me at Food Line, and we'll go. So just thank you. I want to thank you all for supporting my father over the years. The treatment you all had for him dwindled down to our family. I recall riding and playing at the corrals doing pony penning over the years. We'd get up at 5 in the morning to be on the island. Wasn't too happy about that at a young age, but and just the hospitality that you all show, not only my father, but our family. And we just want to say thank you for that. And hopefully I can do the same thing and be accommodating to you all here if I am fortunate enough to follow in his footsteps. I see the legacy that, 40 years is a long time. So the legacy that he has left, extremely big shoes to fill. And I don't know if it's a task that is possible during 40 years. But I will certainly do my best to follow the same footsteps and follow the path that he has set. And with you all's support, I think this would be possible. And I'd just like to thank you all once again for the opportunity to speak. And you all have a great evening.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, how about it? How about it? All right, public comment. David? Is there a David signed up to speak? Horn? Okay.
Sir, could I ask, before you speak, to give
Yes.
your full name and address, if you would?
Good evening. My name is David Bourne. I live at 3380 Main Street,
Thank
South
you,
Main
sir.
Street in Chincoteague. This concerns the East Side Drive marsh situation that was discussed in the last planning meeting. And there was some discussion about regulating what could go on, but we felt very much like it was addressed at us. So I woke up at 7 o'clock in the morning with a torrent of information bullying my family about this. And I was so disappointed in the council member that brought this gossip up that was not even true. It basically destroyed my entire weekend, and my wife was not able to come tonight because she's so upset. I just wanted to register my extreme disappointment in the council for perpetuating gossip that was totally unfounded. My wife is a naturalist, and she's most interested in maintaining corridors for butterflies, not parking lots and electric multi-story buildings out in the marsh. As we bought it to basically maintain corridors for natural living things, butterflies in particular, and maybe plant a few flowers. If people know my house on 3380 Main Street, I think you see we spend all of our time planting flowers. And so to have the council basically set up a bullying situation based on a quote that basically said, I've carefully studied the talk around this issue, gossip, that basically perpetuating that this is an act of bullying. And we felt it really hurt our family because this is where we live, this is where we love, and we basically know everybody. I'm looking around, I know all your faces. So thank you for listening to me. I'm obviously upset. So thank you.
Joshua Jacobson?
I think he's part of the Village Neighbors presentation.
Did you sign up to speak, Josh? No. Okay. Your name's on the paper.
You're in, but, okay, you signed in.
All right, no problem.
I thought it was signing in.
He's going, what? Miss Pat?
I did sign in, and I did intend to talk. Patricia Farley, 3243 Lisa's Lane. 6 years ago, at the May 16th, 2017 closed meeting, at the end of the open meeting, council members present decided to eliminate the position of town planner, thus terminating the employment of the person holding that position. At the April 3rd, 2017 town council meeting, 4 residents spoke against this move in the public comments, myself included. On May 1st, I filed a FOIA request for transcripts and/or minutes of that meeting and received a prompt reply stating that there were no transcripts or minutes of the meeting, none are required by law, and no votes were taken. Poof, no more town planner. It was never announced or explained. Word just spread through the island and never discussed again in public. Was this wrong? Probably, because eliminating budgeted positions according to the law that has over 50 reasons you can have a closed meeting, budget items and removing them from the budget is not one of them. Personnel issues are, and there was another unrelated personnel item that was decided in the same closed meeting. Last month, I attended both council meetings, the Planning Commission meeting and the Board of Zoning Adjustment meeting in person. Council and Planning Commission members heard the concerns of the East Side residents who have learned of potential desires of residents of other parts of the island to build in the relatively small area of marsh that allows visitors and residents to have a clear view of the water and Assateague beyond. At the BZA meeting, a request was made for a variance to the sign ordinance to paint an art mural on the wall of a downtown business. The variance was needed because there is no category with its own set of requirements for art murals. Also at the Planning Commission meeting, a member of council in their capacity as a resident read the zoning code allowances to build in the marsh, any marsh. There were many structures allowed, including hunting camps. At the council workshop meeting, the town manager announced the good news of a large surplus at the end of the current budget year, due primarily to the increased tax revenue from the meals and transient occupancy tax. At the BZA meeting, a member walking out next to me said, "Of course, signs and murals are different things." What these May meetings taught me, and I think many of the people that attended them and participated in them as members, is that it is time, maybe past time, to budget for a professional town planner. Those that have been doing that work, the town manager, zoning administrator, the volunteer commissioners on the Planning Commission, have done the very best job they can and still get a few hours of sleep every night. But it is very hard to take time out of the day's urgent tasks to have a vision. That's what a town planner hopefully could have time to do. Town planning requires, well, planning, which requires reviewing and constantly anticipating changes in our code to keep up with these times. We have more visitor-generated revenue because we have more visitors. And more visitors means more demands on the resources, both natural and man-made, that we are blessed to have on this island. We cannot afford one day longer to be surprised by development that is still allowed, but eliminates the beauty and vibrancy and history that we as residents share with our visitors. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Tammy?
Me?
You're it.
Tammy Riley, 4460 Williams Lane. I'm getting used to saying that. So, Mr. Bourne, if you want to blame somebody, please don't blame Denise. You can blame me, because that land is across from my mother's home. I was told that you were out there with one of the water employees of the town asking where you could put your water meter. As citizens of East Side, we all went to Denise and said, we're concerned. We'd like something in the code or whatever to protect that marshland and protect that view. My mom's 90 years old, and I feel like until the day she dies, she should be able to look at that lighthouse like she has for the last 80 to 90 years. And everybody else that's on East Side as well. It warms my heart to know that you would like it conserved as well, that that's not your intent at all.
She
so
might put some marshmallows out there.
There we go, yeah. We probably prefer not to see marshmallows, but anyway. So, I mean, that warms my heart. That's a wonderful thing. We're all on the same page. There's no need for any of us to be arguing or pointing fingers. Your name or your wife's name was never mentioned at any of the meetings. And as a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that Denise didn't even know who it was before that meeting when we all started talking. So, you know, if the blame goes to anybody, it certainly goes to me, not to Denise. It was not her fault, and I just wanted to...
You and me.
And my mother, yeah. But we still feel just as strongly. I'd still like something in the code to keep people down the road from just buying the marsh and it appearing as land, and we can just fill it and do whatever we want and put structures out to block anyone else's view. I feel like we should conserve that area. It's the one area of the town that we still have for visitors to just take a drive by East Side and to look out at that beautiful view. I mean, when people come over and they say, you know, I've been coming here for about 15 years and I've never been to this side of the island. And I don't want to stay anywhere else. They want to stay there because they have that wonderful view. It's so nice and quiet. It's not Main Street, and we don't want Main Street on East Side. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to adopt tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Staff reports, Mr. Talbert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Starting first at the Shinkadig Center, we had kind of a slow month in May. However, there are seven community service events. Bookings in June include 2 community service events and 3 commercial events, including Rocket Fest, which will happen in a few weeks, which will be very interesting. They'll be there all week. And graduation was held last week very successfully. Air conditioning did hold that for us. That's a good thing.
That's a plus.
Virginia Port Authority, as most of you know, in the past, the town has been very successful in obtaining grants from Virginia Port Authority's Aid to Local Ports program. It's responsible for basically renovating the entire harbor, at least the inside, and all the slips have been replaced. All the inside slips have been replaced, and not the perimeter slips, at the harbor with the help of the Virginia Port Authority's Aid to Local Ports program. This year, we submitted a project for a grant from the VPA to add floating dock moorings at Robert Reed Park, which we thought would be very well received, and we still think would be very well received, and spur some economic activity downtown. Unfortunately, this year there were a lot of projects and a lot of presenters, and a lot of them had some very needy projects, very good projects. So we weren't successful this year, and that's the second time we've put forth a project at Robert Reed that we've been unsuccessful. The Harbor Committee will meet in the fall and will decide on a project for next year, but I still think the Robert Reed project would be very good for the downtown. As I reported last month to you, the Septic Local Partners Program, something developed by the DEQ, uses ARPA funds to assist residents and commercial operators in replacing their failing septic systems. The basics of the system, the program, we've got a $750,000 notice of award. The program either provides 50% or 100% funding for replacement of your system, depending on your income. Last Tuesday, I participated in a review of the program by the DEQ. It was one-on-one. There weren't 20 other towns or cities on the call, and they informed me of most of the details of the program, and what was to be submitted, and I'm proud to say that the town of Shindig were the first ones out of everyone to submit their paperwork. And it is on a first-come, first-served basis, so I feel good about if our paperwork's approved, and that is the program which we've already designed, and a few housekeeping things like our procurement procedures. If those are approved, then we'll be on our way to getting some help for folks with replacing their septic system. Legislative assistance. On May 12th, I met with Ms. Mara Engelbert of Congresswoman Kiggins' office, down in Only at her office. We discussed several issues, first of which was the Army Corps of Engineers inlet study, which we've been waiting on. I asked her for some help from Representative Kiggins on getting that moving with the Corps. We also discussed relocation of our wells at NASA and mail delivery in Ocean Breeze, which I think is coming to a swift conclusion there in the next month. After full discussion, Ms. Engelbert said that she would do what she could within her office to help get those projects moving. We also discussed a visit from Representative Kiggins, and I offered a tour / cruise for Representative Kiggins in August when she's out, and we're trying to set that up now. So we're hopeful that she can come on down and we can sail around the inlet and let her see firsthand what's happening there. Also in May, during his visit, I had an opportunity to speak briefly with Attorney General Jason Miyares concerning the transit occupancy taxes and the problem that we're having with the new law that the General Assembly passed and the governor signed. He was familiar with the law and familiar with some of the problems, so we are talking, discussing that, trying to work out a solution to that. But it's a problem that the entire state is having. On May 2nd, I spoke with Mr. Hildebrand and Robbie Marsh of ANEC to discuss the possibility of locating some electric vehicle charging stations on the island. We had been thinking about this for some time and already decided that the municipal parking lot downtown in the middle of town behind the old bank was a good place for this. It's town-owned, it's centrally located, it's near some attractions which will allow people to go patronize some of the businesses in town while their vehicle's charging. NEC is looking for a grant to put this charging station in, and there is a representative, not exactly the station that would be installed, but it's a pole charging station similar to the one that NEC would provide. I asked them to also give me a price on the second station, which would put us up to 4 charging, would allow us to charge 4 cars at one time, and they said they would work that up for me. The inaugural meeting of the Community Resilience and Sustainability Plan Steering Committee was held last Thursday at the Eastern Shore Yacht and Country Club. This is a regional group sponsored by the ENPDC for the purpose of improving the Eastern Shore's resilience to coastal climate impacts and enhancing the region's sustainability as a community. The intention to do this is to do this through planning and preparing shovel-ready status, large-scale projects that benefit the entire shore. I certainly included all the projects we have, including our inland study, including relocating the beach, which Mr. John Casbaum was there as well, and included that project. So we're looking at hoping that group will further things along for the shore and hopefully eventually obtain some funding for some of these projects. Looking at our revenues right now, meals and transit occupancy tax, the chart that you see there is for collections of the month of May, which of course is for activity in April because we're always almost a month behind on that. You can see that we're 100%, we've exceeded 100% in revenues for both meals and transit at this point, and we still have a month to go. So looking good there. Looking at our financial report, these are the numbers as of May 31st. They are still, it looks typical for the month of May. We are good in all categories. We still have a few anomalies, and they are the harbor fund, which we still haven't transferred the money from the general fund to the harbor, which would pay for the boat ramp. And those transfers we usually make at the end of the year. Also, you'll see some extra money in the Civic Center account, but because the HVAC equipment was pushed until August for delivery, we'll have to carry that money over to FY24. So you'll see some what looks like high revenues in that account. Water billing. Every Our current water billing procedure is to invoice 1/3 of all our customers monthly. So each customer gets a bill quarterly for the water they've used for the last 3 months. Bill is due at the end of the month, and a second notice is sent to customers who are 30 days past due. This notice also gives a date that the customer's water will be turned off for non-payment. Once that date arrives, it's current practice to have the water department put a handwritten door hanger on the property's front door, extending the cutoff date by another week. In all, the delinquent customer has approximately 60 days and sometimes a lot more depending on the cycle, the calendar, and the water department's workload, because we actually have to send a person to their door to hang the picture of these door hangers on their door telling them that you have another week to pay your bill. What we're finding is that the same 40 to 60 people are showing up every quarter. So we're going to eliminate door hangers. We're going to post a notice. The second notice, which is a mailed notice in an envelope, not the postcard that you get at first, will contain a statement saying this is your final notice, and it'll give a date, the same date, that we will cut your water off if you don't pay it. The door hangers are absolutely doing us very little good because they don't encourage anyone to pay their bill sooner, and they're seen as the last step, and I have another week to pay my bill. So I feel that eliminating those will save a lot of time, both in the office and for the water department, riding around all afternoon delivering 60 door hangers. Not to mention that we had to pay for a couple storm doors, I understand, because we were blamed for leaving them open when we put the door hanger on the door. So, in any event, starting July 1, we will no longer use water door hangers. We will advertise this. As I said, there'll be a notice on the second notice that you get, late notice, saying that this is your final notice. We will also put it on our website and on our Facebook page that these door hangers will no longer be used. I expect in the beginning we'll have some bumps, but it'll straighten out after a few billing cycles. Building and zoning. Mark issued 32 building permits in the month of May and conducted 60 inspections. Total value of construction for those permits was almost $460,000. For total building permit fees collected were $3,300. And with that, if there are any questions, I'll be glad to answer those.
Anybody? Thank you, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Moving along. Robbie?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. On May 5th and 6th of this year, our department provided overnight security for the Chamber of Commerce Seafood Festival, and also assisted on Saturday at the festival with traffic control, parking, and security there at the festival. It was a great festival, as we all know. Everything went great. On May 11th, Major Greenlee and SRO Jim and Annie had the Shankatig Elementary School pre-K at the office and provided them a field trip. I understand that went very well. I'm sure a lot of questions and so forth. They all got to play with the lights, so they were all lights and sirens. So that made them all happy. On the 12th, SRO Carmody, he assisted with prom and the after-prom party at the Shankatig High School, and that went very well also. I think they got that a little bit earlier this year than normal, so everything went good there. On May the 15th, Corporal Gladding attended an toxicology recertification class over in Virginia Beach. On May the 17th, I attended the awards banquet at the Shankatig High School, where our department was able to present 2 $1,000 scholarships, one to Keely Volpe and one to Zulia Diaz-Mo, who's been helping out over in the town office. And then on the 20th, I assisted the Shankatig Volunteer Fire Company with their oyster fritter fundraiser, which turned out well also. And that's all I have. If anybody has any questions.
Anybody? Thank you, Rob.
Thank you all.
All right, Public Works. Yes.
Yes. Evening. We've had kind of a busy month. One of the first things that happened with us is we discovered a sinkhole on Maddox Boulevard, which we thought was a storm drain leaking. And upon doing a little bit of investigation, we figured out that the water main across there was actually leaking, and quite bad. But if you'll notice how much water is coming out of that pipe, it's not overflowing the hole anywhere. So after we fixed the water line, we did some more investigation, and if you'll go to the next page there, that's the storm drain leak in the same hole. So eventually we're going to need to do something with that cross line pipe that's going across Maddox Boulevard there. That is actually tide water coming out of the storm drain pipe, and that's with the pump running. It's just an extreme amount of water that's leaking out of that storm drain. So eventually we're going to need to tackle that issue. So, but it was good that we found it when we did, I guess. Moving on, this was a water line inspection that we did, inspecting all the hangers and all the water line going across the causeway. And whether or not I had this picture sent to me or actually took a boat ride that day, I'll leave that for your own imagination. We started paving this month. We started on Woodland Drive. This is a picture of that. Woodland Drive is completed. We've got a few driveway connections to do and some straightening up and cleaning up. But other than that, Woodland Drive is complete. Maddox Boulevard is complete other than pavement markings. And we've got small quantity paving and Cropper Street left to do. This is a picture of some of the sidewalk form work that was done on Cropper Street. The contractor did a very good job, paid attention to a lot of detail, and a great deal of respect for people's personal property, their fences, their landscaping, and everything. I feel like they did a phenomenal job there, and you can see they've got caps on all their form pins and everything. So I was impressed with their work. Those sidewalks are now complete on both sides of Cropper Street. Kind of the same thing there. So as I was saying, we're going to continue paving operations on Cropper Street and doing some small quantities. We're in the process of installing security cameras around town in all the public areas, and be completed this month. We are going to expand the boat parking and do some new pavement markings down at Memorial Park. And, of course, continue routine maintenance of equipment and vehicles and our normal day-to-day operations. So that's all I've got. You got any questions?
Anybody? Thanks, Wes.
Yep.
Last but not least, coming in the door. Standing room only.
Right on cue. Good evening. So as soon as Mr. Talbert pulls up my presentation, I'll get started. I can tell you from the report that got submitted last week, we finished out with 2 more calls that was on that report for a total of 100 for the month of May, which left us with 2 more than what we had for the entire month of May 22. So a pretty busy month, given the fact that the first 15 days of the month were pretty slow. So we did a lot of catching up real fast. We were able to accomplish our advanced cardiac life support and pediatric advanced life support training for half of our group for 23. Did that at the beginning of the month. There on the right, they're supposed to be taking a test, but somebody's paying attention to me instead of taking their test, it appears. And as you can see, part of that testing involves both the adult as well as the pediatric, especially very heavy in airway, which on the pediatric patient is extremely critical, and it's a very high risk procedure, and we do it so infrequently that we need to train constantly on that. So again, we were able to use our instructors, do it in-house with a hybrid delivery where a lot of the online course as a refresher is done on the student/employee's time, and then we bring it all together in a one-day program. We did participate with the volunteer fire company. SRO Carmody was also there, and Salyer's Funeral Home with the mock MVC that we do every year at the high school right before the prom season. And again, trying to get the students to understand that it's not only about the drinking and driving that we're concerned about, but inattentive driving, drugs, being on your cell phone, things like that. We try to get that message across to them. So hopefully it will be successful to them. At the State EMS Advisory Board, we met on our second quarter meeting, the 4th and 5th in Richmond. Legislative and Planning, in our committee there, we discussed a work group that's being requested by the State Secretary of Public Safety and Homeland Security to look at fire and EMS funding in the Commonwealth. There's going to be some town halls, some surveys, and so forth coming out. But fire and EMS, specifically EMS, has not seen any significant funding increases since the early 2000s. When you go register your vehicle, $4, actually it's up to $6 now, but they still call it the 4 for Life Fund, comes out of that registration and goes into EMS, into that. So again, that's not been raised since the early 2000s, so there's some talk on that. The board, we appointed 2 new members to the Financial Aid Review Committee because we had 2 that were going off of that committee. Also, we approved the recommendation from the Rules and Regs Committee to send Chapter 32 of the EMS Rules and Regs, which is part of the Program 5100, to the State Board of Health. So they'll go to the State Board of Health hopefully within the next month and a half, and then it moves up the chain from there and hopefully becomes the working document of rules and regulations to govern EMS for the next 5 years. We're also doing a lot of work trying to help our Workforce Development Committee and the Office of EMS to bring more EMT training into the high schools as a trade, because we feel like by doing this, it's going to only help our career and volunteer workforce. I say it all the time, it's hard to find volunteers, it's hard to find career folks, and maybe this is what we need to start doing. We need to find these folks that don't know what they want to do yet when they get out of school and give them something to achieve and work towards. So that's where we want to go with that. And then one of the other bigger topics, of course, is grant funding. And the Rescue Squad Assistance Fund grant for 2023 saw 112 applications for 215 items for $19 million. What are the requests? $12 million of that, of course, will come from the state. And a lot of that is attributed to the fact that you could buy a stretcher for $10,000 10, 15 years ago. Now that same stretcher costs $30,000. So all your equipment costs so much more. So with that, there has to be some discussion, and some new rules are coming forth, being ironed out. But a lot of the 80-20 hardship grants that a lot of departments would apply for are going to go away. Your 80-20s are become 50-50s now, because they feel that will allow the money to go a little farther. And a lot of the hardship grants were buying ambulances and top-of-the-line type equipment that could have been accomplishing other things with a cheaper ambulance, per se, or a cheaper piece of equipment that would do the same thing. So that's the theory behind it, is to try to make those funds go a lot farther, so that those 112 applications that go in, maybe 90% of those can actually be funded over the course of the next grant cycle. So stay tuned. But those were the highlights of the 2 days this time, and hope to accomplish some more good stuff when we meet again in August. So from the emergency management side of the house, the graphic on the right was from the Hurricane Center this morning. Tropical Storm Arlene was out there early weekend and kind of dissipated down towards Cuba, southern Florida. That's today's map, with a 10% chance there of that storm up on the right. Nothing to worry about. It's going to get in that cold water and go away. But we are in hurricane season now. More importantly, we need to be prepared. You hear me say it all the time, and I'll say it again. Other things that we're working on is the Rocket Lab launch, which is scheduled now for June 15th, 8:45 p.m. next week. Also, Antares has now been moved to August, so we've gotten out of the July time frame. Maybe we can go one more month, and we might be able to take a deep breath. So anyway, not until earliest August 2nd. Again, still working on PodX. And then the local capabilities assessment report that we have to do every year just started on that. So that takes a good month and a half before I'll have that all compiled. Again, we need to prepare now. Just Saturday night, anybody that was along the water saw the tide got pretty high. full moon and a little bit of a northeast wind. Again, you need to prepare because it's not time to prepare when the tide's rising and the rain's coming down. We need to do it ahead of time. So again, get prepared because we are moving into storm season, along with any number of other things. Power went out. We had a power failure. Could have been much worse. We need to prepare because you could go days without power. A&N's been very good servicing us over the last years that they've been here. However, the equipment ages over time, and we all know how hard it is to get equipment now. So again, be prepared for those power outages. They could happen. Hopefully not. And like I said, shout out to A&N for making it all work and come back together real quick. So in summary, EMS calls are up just slightly from last year, but pretty much at a break even, but still 100's pretty busy for this time of year. Be weather aware and prepare. It only takes that one hurricane, tropical storm, nor'easter. Heck, it could be a severe thunderstorm that rolls through here one afternoon when it eventually gets warm this summer. The Rocket Lab Dynamo will launch on the 15th, at 8:45 and goes out to, I believe, somewhere 11 o'clock something at night. So it has a very wide window where the Antares is only a 5-minute. And again, that Antares is moved to no earlier than August 2nd. I will handle any questions.
Anybody?
Very well.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, Brian came running in late because he was on a call covering a shift. So
I appreciate it. All right, now we have another treat. We're going to get a presentation by Miss Katie O'Shea with the Island Community House.
Actually, you're going to get me first.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Cannon. I know many of you. It's been my privilege for the last 2 years to be the chair of the board of directors at the Island Community House. A year ago, I stood here with Cindy Faith, who was our director at that time, to tell you about the launching of our new program called Village Neighbors. And I am the bearer of good news about that, and Katie O'Shea, our director, will be joining me in a few minutes to tell you more. So tonight we are celebrating our first full year of Village Neighbors. Our goal was to have 20 members. At the end of our first year, we have 17. So we're feeling pretty good about that. I hope you've been hearing about Village Neighbors. As you know, it's our outreach program for anyone 60 or better who would like a little practical help in aging at home here on Chincoteague. And we know from the survey that we did almost 2 years ago that there is a lot of need. Families, friends, neighbors, churches increasingly cannot meet all the need of seniors. And I'm going to show you in a second a statistic you probably already know about Chincoteague and the percentage of people here who are 60 and older. So Village Neighbors offers rides, and I'm very happy to tell you that we now offer rides off the island. And Jean Wayne, last year when Cindy and I were here, I know that was something that you mentioned. And we have several volunteers who are very willing to do that, and we know that's so important. We've got handyman help, light chores. We can do grocery shopping. We can pick up prescriptions. We have a phone buddy system we've just initiated, and a lot of friendly home visits. So socialization is so important. I remember Cindy saying last year, loneliness is an epidemic in our country amongst seniors. And even here, we know that there are people who just don't have anyone anymore. So friendly home visits have really been so significant for us. And I want to say we have fun. Volunteers, and everything that we do is provided by volunteers. And members are the people 60 or above who are receiving the services. And we have had a lot of fun. And one highlight I want to share with you about volunteers. When we started Village Neighbors, we worried about whether we could get enough volunteers. And I want to tell you that we have 43 vetted, background-checked volunteers for Village Neighbors. And we're pretty proud of that fact. Yeah. So I want to step back for just a minute. Let me go the other way. I've tried both directions.
There's a switch on the side that turns it on.
Let's see. Oh, okay. No, it's not cooperating with me.
No, that turns it on, and then you can operate.
Okay, come back. Emergency.
Okay. So you're on green, so now you should be able to. There you go.
Oh, it is moving.
Just
Okay.
hit the right here.
Oh, okay. I did. Okay, thank you. Just a little bit about what the village movement is, and I'll give you a second to look at this. This has been happening since the early 2000s. It's a national movement. It's not a franchise. It's not something that is copied. Every village is unique, but the basic concept is you organize volunteers in a little bit more sophisticated way, and you kind of broaden the idea of what a neighbor is. A neighbor might be someone who lives several blocks away, but you don't know them, but they are your neighbor, and that's part of what makes the village concept work. And it's to promote health, social integration, well-being, and we have so many things going on, which Katie O'Shea will tell you about in a minute, that contribute to this. So, and let me just show you a couple facts about why villages are needed. And I normally don't do much with statistics, but I think this is pretty significant. Look at this. Half of Americans 55 and older have no retirement savings and plan to live on Social Security. And the average is 18. That's the average. And we know for many people it's lower than that. Look at the cost of hiring full-time home care aides. And it's very difficult to get them here where we live. So, that's significant. And my stepfather is in a private nursing home, and I know this is true. A lot of people don't realize that Medicare does not handle routine living assistance. So, it's not easy. And people who were involved in starting the village movement were discovering as they were aging that either what the practical help they needed wasn't available or it was too expensive. And here we're in an under-resourced area, and it's hard to get help, and we all know that. So, and there's currently a 3-year average waiting period to receive home care services if you are on Medicaid. And again, that's an average. Here's just, as I mentioned, you probably knew from the 2020 census, 39% of our population here in Chincoteague is age 60 or above. So we have the need. We do ask, and here are some of our village neighbors and members, volunteers. You may recognize some of these folks, and some of them are sitting here tonight. We do ask that it's a membership organization. We ask that people pay $20 a month. No one's making any money from that. That goes to pay for a part-time coordinator who answers the phone, and that's very important because a lot of our older folks are not online. And she oversees the scheduling. We have a computer software that does that. It makes it so much more efficient. And we need a phone line, we need a computer. So membership fees go only towards a part of what it really takes to run Village Neighbors here. We do not turn anyone away if they cannot pay the $20 a month. That's been our policy since the very beginning. We raise money, we have sponsorships for people. This is our commitment, and we are living it. So we hope that the community we're still the new kid on the block, but we hope the community is will support us, and that the town will see a way to support us. And I want to close just by saying, before I introduce Katie, this for me personally has been such a touching experience to be involved in starting Village Neighbors and just meeting so many people, so many volunteers who want to do this kind of volunteering. They want to directly help people. They want to connect. And I can't emphasize enough the social dimension. We're for active seniors, we're for older seniors who aren't so active, we're for everybody, and we really emphasize the social dimension of it and the caring. So now I'm happy to introduce our new executive director, Katie O'Shea, who's going to give you some more highlights. Thank you so much.
So in a community where, as Lisa just told you, over a third of its residents are over the age of 60, it's really critical to have friends and neighbors who look out for one another and offer a helping hand wherever it's needed. And these are those people right here. We have members, we have volunteers, we have members who are volunteers, and that reciprocity, the giving and receiving of friendship, forms the bedrock of the village here on Chincoteague, and that's really imperative. Our business plan relies on a three-prong approach that includes connection, inspiration, and support. Members make new friends, exercise their minds, explore their creativity, and enjoy easy access to the kinds of help they need, and they determine when, where, and how they want it through Village Neighbors, which is a great option. Our members' reasons for joining the village are as diverse as their personal and professional backgrounds. Some join for social reasons, others because they want a little help maintaining their independent lifestyle. This past spring, as Lisa explained, we expanded our offerings and services to include short-term memberships of either 3 or 6 months as compared to our 12-month plan. And that accommodates the snowbirds that we have, or perhaps somebody who might be recovering or recouping from a procedure or surgery. So it helps them out in a short-term basis rather than having to come on for a full year. In addition, we implemented the phone buddy system, and that's where a member is paired with one of our vetted volunteers, and they call in. They check in with them 3 or 4 times throughout the month just to see how they're doing, tell them about upcoming events with the Island Community House or other entities on the island. So it's a really great way to connect. Transportation and rides continue to be our main service request, and we, in March, decided to expand that service to incorporate the off-island transportation that Lisa mentioned of up to 120 miles round trip. That helps folks that need to go to the doctor's appointments up in Salisbury or down at Riverside or in Berlin. So it's important that we offer that. Those requests can be either for a medical appointment, a social visit, or even shopping. So to date, as you can see there, we've fulfilled 267 services, which we're very proud of. The Island Community House hosts the programming opportunities throughout the month that we offer, and the majority of those are at little to no cost to the attendees. We try for programming that will connect and engage and create events and activities that reflect shared interests and requests of the community. We have one mutual goal at Village Neighbors, and that's to assist helping older folks stay in their homes and neighborhoods that they love. The Village concept, built on the idea that together we are stronger, will only succeed if we all work together. A community-based approach that empowers adults at all stages, giving them a voice and a choice about how best to live a fulfilling life. Because aging well really does rely on community, and we want you to hear some of your community members that are benefiting from the program. I'd like to first invite up Marianne White to speak. She is a member of the Village Neighbors.
The village is a wonderful addition to the elderly, especially here on the island, so that they can stay in their own home. Please. There is a fee of it's $240 a year, which is $20 a month, which is not bad for us. And they take care of a lot of the cheaper jobs that we come up with in our home. I needed one to help bring the heavy garbage can to the street. Simple, right? You see what I have to walk with. And there's no way I can do this with one of the Davis's big garbage cans. I had a couple of friends and relatives help me for a couple of days. But anyway, that's taken care of. I just called Chipper. She put the call out. I have somebody now who takes it out on Tuesday and brings it back on Wednesday. So that's terrific. One day some people came to my house to visit, and they noticed that the threshold, by the front door, the weather stripping thing, had a hole in it. I very seldom use my front door. So I didn't realize that, and several parts of the staircase railing were loose. So I called Chipper, who put in the call for someone to repair it, and that person called, we made an appointment, and they came and fixed it. 1, 2, 3. Didn't cost me anything. Another time my garage door wouldn't open or close. So one of the volunteers made an appointment for him to come. In 15 minutes he had it fixed. And he oiled everything so it doesn't squeak and talk to me anymore. When we get older, we really want to stay in our own home as long as possible. And you're all going to get there, too. Well, with all our memories and friends and what have you. And this projects help us to do that. When small things go wrong in the home, hopefully there is a volunteer to help us out. These amenities are cost-free except for your initial thing. Now, if they have to use a part or buy a part, that you have to pay for. But that's really no problem. I know there's a great need for volunteers as well as members, even though we have quite a few volunteers. But it's a wonderful, wonderful output. It really is. I didn't think I'd get to this point, but old age creeps up on you. And you're just going to have to face it. We need help. And this is a great way to do it. And one other thing I do want to say, I thank the police for their call-in program. That's also very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Marion.
Sorry, this is Mary Custer coming up now.
Hello, I'm Mary Custer, and I live on Main Street, and I've lived in Chincoteague here for about 7 years, and I love it, like everyone else. I'm at an age where I can't do everything anymore that I want to do, and I still drive, and I do my own shopping and that sort of thing, but there are things I can't do, and like getting down and planting flowers and stuff, which I used to love to do. It's important to me to stay independent. I do my own grocery shopping, and I walk my little dog. And I participate in many local events such as Manna Cafe and the Op Shop, leading a devotional in their monthly meetings. But getting down on the ground to plant flowers isn't easy, and I have no idea how to attach the screen
on my closet door. I felt Village Neighbors would be a wonderful service for just the kind of things I might need help with. And so I decided to join, and this was the best thing I've done in a long time. I have a daughter here, and she's able to fix a lot of things that my husband used to fix. Plus, she's able to take me places I need to go, but I don't always like to interrupt her schedule. Village Neighbors allows me to be independent, and I can determine what I need help with. The volunteer who did my flower garden for me was a wonderful man and did a most professional job for me. And my little garden looks wonderful. And so I love the neighbors, the Village Neighbors. It's just a wonderful thing for our community. Thank you.
And finally, we'll hear from Peg Cook.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My daughter and I first came to Chincoteague on a 2016 Rhodes Scholar trip. Thus began our great Chincoteague adventure. This island exerts some kind of magnetic force that just tugs at your heartstrings and pulls you back again and again. And as our stays lengthened, so did my desire to get involved in this community strengthen. Now, I learned about Village Neighbors, the organization that's dedicated to keeping alive the joy of being alive. The idea of offering services to senior citizens that enable them to live safely in their homes appealed to me. Each year, the list of seemingly simple tasks that I once did with ease but are now challenging is getting longer. Things like changing light bulbs in the ceiling and tall lamps, hanging pictures, reorganizing closet space, especially those high shelf spaces above the hanging clothes. I think you get the idea. I signed up. Volunteers who responded to my service requests, they fill the gaps that crop up when my knees protest the up and down, step stool climbing, lifting and lowering of objects between floor and tabletops, and rescue me from desperation when my computer or cell phone absolutely refuses to follow my commands. I decided that in addition to receiving services, I wanted to give them. Even though I need help with the up and down, lift and lower task, I believe I have skills that could help some folks. I can read to a person whose vision is failing, help address Christmas cards, wrap Christmas presents, be a phone buddy to check in with people who prefer not to use social media. I like to walk, so I can be a walking companion to a like-minded person who may need to use a walker and probably shouldn't be out by herself or himself. So I can be a walking companion. How about just making a friendly visit to folks who want some company? And I know there's more if I think about it. So I completed the volunteer training and received my Village Neighbor Volunteer badge. You know, life has taught me the joy of giving and receiving. Village Neighbor volunteers give their time, their talent, and energy, putting joy into the lives of people who request services. And the volunteers experience the joy of seeing smiles on the faces of people and feeling the vibes of gratitude from the people they help. Village Neighbors is definitely a win-win. And that's why I choose to play the dual role of being a Village Neighbor volunteer and member.
okay.
Come on, Paula. Paula needs. You know who I am.
Sorry. I volunteer with Village Neighbors. I have two lovely ladies that I visit, and we have conversations and usually tea and cookies and snacks, but they're wonderful. I enjoy my time with them. I do little errands if they need them done. So for me, it's a win-win because I lost my mom early, and it's kind of, I get some of that back. So I really advise people to volunteer if you can, but just let you know that, yes, it is a wonderful organization, and I'm happy to be a part of it. So, and thank you for wearing your orange pins.
All righty.
Excuse me, Arthur.
Go ahead, please.
I know the evening is getting late, but if you have any questions, something now I can address, or if you can always call us at the Island Community House if you have questions. Anything in particular that might come up? Okay.
Just thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All righty, moving on to committee reports. First on the list is public safety. Denise?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We met on May 2nd, and we discussed the unified surveillance system that we're hoping to get into the parks here on the island. Really hoping to get this nailed down, hopefully in the next, what do you think, Mike, a couple months or so?
They're in the process of installing it now.
Okay. And Chief Fisher brought to us the costs associated with the new dispatch console that the ES 911 would have to try to make it work together with the new radio systems, and he's going to get back with us on that. And we also talked about our public safety reserve account as to how to go about finding out what needs we have as far as public safety is concerned, and we're all going to take a good look at everything and see where we can best put those funds. And that's all we have.
Any questions for Denise? Thank you very much. Next up is Public Works. Ms. Richardson?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our Public Works Committee met on May 2nd. We discussed about the Cropper Street progress and the budget, and of course it looks like it's probably 2/3 of the way finished, isn't it? Except for your paving. You said you had all the sidewalks done. And it does look nice, even though it's not got no top on it. It don't look bad at all. But anyway, a little dusty. Also, tomorrow night we will meet at 6 o'clock. We will be reviewing the 5-year sanitation contract. I think Mr. Talbert has sent that to your iPads. So if you get a chance between tonight and tomorrow night to just look at it, see if you have questions or something you want to ask. Let's see, other than that, we did discuss about trash cans, about the ordinances on trash cans. You know, a lot of people and their vacationers, they put their trash out before they leave, and it stays there for several days. And of course, you know, cats and foxes and everything else get into it, seagulls. So we were talking about discussing that. We do have an ordinance that it's not supposed to be put out before 7 o'clock the night before and removed, what is it, 7 o'clock that next night?
After 7 p.m. the night before and before 7 a.m. the next morning.
Right. So that's the time that we put it out. So, I mean, we have a lot of visitors. They don't understand that. I'm sure they have other things they like to do except reading the rules. And other than that, I think that was pretty well what we covered.
I have a question.
Yes.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So it reads that they can't be put out before 7 o'clock the night before and should be taken back in before 7 a.m.?
No.
Okay.
No. Between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. it can be placed out.
Gotcha. Okay.
But somewhere I thought it was that the next day you had to have it taken back in.
It is, and the reason 7 a.m. is in there is because the contractor can't start before 7 a.m. So if you have your trash out before 7 a.m., he can't say it wasn't there.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, any questions?
No further? Thank you, ma'am. All right, next up is the harbor. We met May the 4th to discuss the new boat ramp at Memorial Park. If you haven't been down there to see it, you need to take a ride. It's a great improvement to the old one that was down there. We've actually added more parking because we think it'll be that busy this summer. We also discussed the new floating dock down at the harbor, the final floating dock at the harbor to be installed. That went along fine. Everything's great. Getting to be full down there since it is the summer, so hopefully everything will go good. Sell plenty of fuel and all that good stuff. Next up is budget and personnel. Mr. Bott.
I don't have anything to report because everything we discussed at our May meeting, we covered at our workshop meeting for the council.
Gotcha. And the RECE minutes. Gene Wayne?
We had our meeting on May the 23rd, the Recreation and Community Enhancement Committee meeting. We had a lot of participation from the people who frequent the dog park, and we appreciate their participation. They had concerns about their seating arrangements, where the benches are in. Hopefully they'll be put in hopefully by the end of the month. And Mike, I think there's a chest that Ace Hardware, that horizontal plastic thing with our name on it, so they can put their portable chairs in too. How about the shade sail, Wes, for the dog park? Has that been ordered?
That has not been ordered yet. I think we're still needing to narrow down color and size.
Yeah, we're going to do 3-sided. The poster going to be on the outside, and yeah, but like I said, go ahead and try to see if we can't get that for them for the summer also. Also talked about, we asked a few minutes ago too, we're supposed to put a new basketball goal up for the locals in the area for Brianna Conda's party, and I think it said the 40 by 40 pad is going to cost us $17,000. I know, shocking, but the goal, Mr. David Landsberger has agreed to pay for that. So if we could get that up and going for them too, appreciate it, and appreciate all your hard work. I know we just give you just add-ons and add-ons and add-ons, and but it is appreciated, and people definitely do use them. And like I said, the things we do for the kids, it does keep them out of trouble. If we can possibly do that, yeah, let's do it. Let's give them some positive. If there's any questions, I'll go ahead and answer them.
Any questions? Thanks, Gene. All right. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the minutes from our May 1st and our May 18th council workshops.
So moved.
Motion is second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is to consider the vacation of a lot line. Mr. Talbert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The owners, I don't believe, could be here this evening.
Actually, they are.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah,
you want to speak?
if you want to come to the mic and.
Sure. First of all, I got to say, living on a coastal community, municipality for 20 years, sitting on that side of the desk has been an interesting meeting. A lot of similarities. So basically, we bought 2 lots just south of the school on Main Street, and we want to move them into 1 lot to build 1 single-family home, nothing big. And the reason to keep the wood lot behind us untouched and kind of have our septic tank and the grass field lot, so and 1 less house on the island. So that's it. I can entertain any questions.
Got your softball gloves ready?
Yeah. I learned that too.
Yeah.
No glass on that side of the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's but we've been coming here a long time. It's going to be our retirement home, and so yeah, it's on there. Plus, we did when we came and purchased them. It was last year, I think. I met with Mr. Talbert. And by the way, everyone here from the office to Mark has been very professional, very helpful.
we cleaned out the cemetery. We found out there was kind of interesting and did some different things. And I come from municipal government. I sit on many committees, and we're here with our hand out to see what we can do for the town, not what the town can do for us. I've dealt with a lot of, different things. So anyway, that's it in a nutshell. So I'll take a seat.
Mr. Mayor.
Any questions? Wait a minute.
Sure.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
I'm the chair of the cemetery committee.
Okay. This is my wife. She's got a lot of tick bites.
Oh my. But I'm kind of concerned. Say, if someone wants to go back and visit that cemetery. Right now, the entrance to it, you get to it from the ball field from the school, so they keep the gate locked a lot of times. So if a person would go down your driveway and just walk around the corner of your property to get to that driveway, would there be a problem?
No, that's so we were familiar with that when we bought it, and there's actually a right-of-way to get back there that's just on that side of the school fence, so that will stay intact.
Okay, I kind of thought it was, but
Yeah.
I hadn't found any paperwork on it. I hadn't dug that far.
Correct.
Our town planner that we had a few years ago, he done a splendid job on the cemetery preservation plan. And he did a lot of homework on the size of the cemeteries and pictures and stuff, so.
Sure, and that's one of the reasons some people might not like it. We kind of like it. We did a lot of research on it, and they donated the land for the school and everything else.
Yes.
So that right-of-way, I call it a paper right-of-way right now. It's still intact. It's there on the plan, and that will not change.
Great, because I'm not going to live forever either, so I need some of these younger people know
Sure.
what's there.
Sure.
But, a lot of people, cemeteries, graves are on private property, and a lot of people want to go visit. And sometimes the property owner gives them a little bit of a problem because they want to cross their property. But I'm glad you're saying that's at least they're safe if they want to walk back there and look at it.
Sure.
And thank you for cleaning it. Mr. Talbert told me you had done that.
Sure, and we don't mind cutting the grass when eventually live there. It's we have, like I said, I'm public works director in my town. There's a lot of things. COVID stuff fell off the list, so that's why I came and asked for permission just to cut it and clean it. So that's fine.
Well, I'm glad you.
And maybe we'll join the committee.
Hey, love to. Thank
Sure.
you very much.
Sure. Any other questions?
That's it.
No. Thanks, sir. Alrighty, hearing any of that, everybody's seen the plat.
Make a motion to vacate the property line.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
There you go. Have fun.
Thank you.
Alrighty, next on the agenda is to consider the budget amendment.
Public hearing.
Yeah, we do have to do a public hearing first, so I will open the public participation part of the public hearing. If anybody has any comment on the budget amendment that was advertised, now's your chance to step to the mic and let us hear it. Going once, going twice. All righty. I'm going to close the public participation portion of the hearing. Now I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Talbert or you, Chris.
Yeah, we're good.
I'm sorry.
We're done. We had, in our budget and personnel, as we had talked about last month, Mike had come up with the amendment to the 23 budget, and then budget and personnel had approved that, and we had discussed it with council already at the workshop meeting, if you remember, in the end of May. So this is the official, I believe, approval of that, and I'll turn it over for Mike for any clarification from what I've said.
Basically, ladies and gentlemen, it shows that we're about $1.362 million more in expenditures and revenues. Of course, it's a balanced budget. and that's the amendment. The amendment is illustrated here per existing fund, which you know there's 5 funds: General Fund, Harbor, Water Center, and Trolley. And those are the totals for each. Of course, most of the spending, most of the revenues belong to the general fund. That's why you see that the variance there is that much larger. As Ms. Harley pointed out earlier tonight, most of the additional revenues are coming from meals and transit occupancy taxes because the revenues exceeded 100% of the budgeted value for FY23. So, barring that, I'll entertain any questions as to where those funds came from.
Anyone? Thanks, Mike. So I'll make the
motion to approve the budget amendment for fiscal year 23.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank y'all. Next is to consider the readoption of the state vehicle traffic code. We do this every year. If Mike would like to give us an update on it.
Basically, Mr. Mayor, you're right. We do this every year, and Chief Fisher can explain to you why we have to do this every year.
Any new laws or any changes in the laws that come through when we adopt this code for our ordinance, that adopts those changes also. So.
Any discussion on this? Then I'll entertain that motion.
Motion. Second.
Motion and a second to adopt the traffic codes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank y'all. Now the portion that everybody's been waiting for. All right. I'll start on my left. Brother Jay.
Yeah. Wes, I think you all is doing a great job in public works. I know it seems like everywhere I've been lately, it seems like somebody's got a shovel in their hand. But that's a good thing. You're on top of stuff and all that. So appreciate the work they're doing. As far as the village neighbors, just a great project for our community. It's 39% seniors, and just kudos to them for taking the baton and helping out. Got a lot of seniors on the island, and they need help. Just a little bit of helping hand. Just prayers and so forth for the Howards and what they're going through right now. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Gene Wayne?
Yeah, like Brother Jay said, if you keep Brother Terry and his family. And they're talking about a while ago with the village, that it's coming, and like I said, keep people in their homes, and when you get to a certain point, it's in your face. And Brother Terry, like I say, I know where he's going, which is good, but like you're saying, he's been a blessing to our town. And as well as anybody, he fought to keep prices, the water bill down. Like I said, our water bill is cheaper. And like I said, people complain about water bills and stuff, but our water bill is as cheap as any town around. And he fought to keep things affordable for the people that grew up and lived here. And he, like you say, prayer, God still is important to him and his family. And like you said, they can definitely use our prayers.
Thank you. Brother Bill?
Echo what Jay and Gene Wayne said, prayers for the Howard family. Also, Village Neighbors, great presentation tonight. Really getting the word out there of what you guys are doing, so appreciate that very much. And then also just want to wish luck to the girls softball team tomorrow night as they travel off several hours away to play in another state level game, so good luck to them.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Bott?
I concur with everything that's been said thus far. No further comments.
Thank you, sir. Denise?
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Terry was a driving force on this council for a long time, and going through a lot right now. Village Neighbors, man, I hope you're all here when I need it, and it's coming soon. I can feel it. Town planner, I desperately think that this town needs another planner. I think in the way we're moving along with things, I think it can only be an asset to us. I'd also like for y'all to keep Jay and his family in prayer. He lost his father-in-law last week. Mr. Bob Tarr was a really, really nice man, and I told your wife, had I known that Mr. Bob had played with Patsy Cline, I'd have been probably sitting on his couch every night talking to him about that, you know, and getting some information about it. But, yeah, keep them in your prayers. And lastly, I want to say this. I've been accused of a lot of things in my life over my 54 years, and if I live till the 24th of this month, I can honestly say that I've lived here 54 years, and I have done my very, very best to give back to this community in more ways than one, whether it includes 31 years across the street or 7 years right here. One thing I have never been accused of is fear-mongering. I've never been accused of spreading rumors or getting involved in anybody else's drama. But I made a promise when I ran for this seat in 2016, and that was anybody can come to me at any time with any questions, and I will try to guide you in the right place. And if I don't have the answer for you, I will get an answer for you. And I also promise this, it's not always going to be the answer you want to hear. And I've ticked off a few people by not giving them the answer they want to hear, but they got the correct answer. Because if I don't know it, somebody up here knows it, and that man right there knows it. And I've bent his ear more than once. I'm a citizen of this town, first and foremost. I'm here by the grace of the voters of this town that put me in this seat. And all of us sit up here for $80 a week. That's what it comes down to. $80 a week, and you've got to have these massive broad shoulders, and I got them, and everybody that's sitting up here has them. I never rallied anybody to come to a meeting or do anything, but when those citizens right there asked me, what can we do? What can we say? I told them, I said, come to a planning commission meeting. I've not only told them, I've told other people about coming to planning commission meetings too on other subjects. So I don't appreciate my name being slandered out there, especially when I certainly didn't slander anybody else's, because I don't care who owns that marsh property. It could be you, it could be you, it could be Pat Farley, it could be Robbie Fisher. I don't care who owns it, as long as the right thing's done with it. And I'll stick by that as long as I'm sitting up here. And if anybody can do any better, my seat's up in 2024, November. You can get the applications down to the registrar's office. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Ellen?
Yes, sir. Thank you. It's good to see everybody come out. When this room fills up with a lot of people, it's like, what's wrong? What's going on? What's not right? But anyway, we all have different opinions, and it's always good to listen to what someone else has to say. It might be a better idea than what you had, or it could be a worse one. So we don't know till we try. As the old saying is, nothing beats trying but a failure. Thank you all for coming out.
Well, I'll say one thing for her.
Wait a minute.
She's truthful. She's truthful. She'll tell you the truth regardless of what you ask for.
All right.
I know that. I've raised her. She's mellowed a lot since she's been sitting here 7 years.
Good thing she's sitting next to you, right?
Thank you, Pat. And thank you, Ted.
All right. Well, eventually, I think everybody will need the neighbor program. Nobody's getting any younger.
You put that sign up there for me.
Not just you.
Not
Plenty
just
of-
you.
Not just you.
But he didn't exclude
Except for me.
But I didn't exclude her, that's right. So yeah, I don't want to look forward to being a member of the neighbors, but I probably will be, hopefully, if not a volunteer one of these days, if and when I get the chance. Other than that, just let everybody know summer's here. If you hadn't witnessed it, traffic is building up. Patience is wearing thin. I just want to let everybody know that We got it for a couple more months. Get used to it. Other than that, on a personal note, the Crimson Tide's playing baseball still, so we're still in the tournament. Roll Tide. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Adios.